What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for Day 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 15. And overall, the Day 2 was fantastic in its own right. A lot of great matches, but I'm not gonna lie. Day 1 was a lot better, in my personal opinion. Outside the main event, none of the matches I would say were better than Day 1's matches. But like I said, but when the show finally started to pick up around the midpoint, the third match and onward, that's when the show really started to pick up, and it really got good. But yeah, man, without further ado, but I would definitely say Day 1 was the better night. But anyway, guys, enough of me to let's just jump right into the show. So to start the show off, we had Toru Yano against Bad Luck Fale, Bushi, and Chase Owens. First of all, I gotta say, I loved Bad Luck Fale's outfits. This dude came in with like a military scarf, some sunglasses on while making his way to the ring. The man looked like a complete badass there. But this match was fine. This match was good. Nothing really too crazy. So you had Bad Luck Fale and I believe with Chase Owens was the other Bullet Club member that was in this match. Both of them were in the ring while Bushi and Toru were both outside the ring, just letting them take care of themselves before they jump right in. You know, typical things that you kind of expect from these multi-man matches, which usually happens when there's a heel involved. Now, one thing I noticed from this match that I found kind of interesting is it looks like in New Japan, because you guys know that in failed forward match, at least from like WWE and AEW, that means that it's no DQ, no countouts. The whole song and dance. In New Japan, they were kind of like the ref was making the count and everything when they were like on the ropes or whatever. So are like disqualifications still like a thing in fatal four-way triple threat matches in New Japan, or because that's kind of what I was looking at while I was watching the match. It looked like that DQs are actually a thing in multi-man matches, which I find kind of strange. But that could just because I'm so used to the WWE way that something different. I'm just like, what the fuck, But anyway, so actually what ended up happening is that you had the two Bullet Club guys, Bad Luck Fale, I believe Chase Owens. Both Bad Luck Fale just does too sweet and just does the finger poke of Doom while doing like the whole too sweet thing, hand gesture, and does the finger poke of Doom and then goes to pin him, and then of course the other two guys rush in there to break the count. And so for the rest of the match that goes on, there was, of course, some teaming up work with Bad Luck Fale and Bushi, but eventually, of course, the two ended up, but of course, like usually, always end up fighting amongst each other in these multi-man matches where they're like, oh no, I want to be the champion, or like, or whatever. I think they were gonna, to win the KOPW 2021 Provisional Championship. I have no idea what in the blue hell this even is, but whatever. That's what they were fighting over. So they're like, no, if I'm the champion, we're the champion. He's like, no, if you're the champion, you're the champion. But if I'm champion, we're the champions. They're fighting amongst themselves, and then Toru manages to like sneak in there and get the win, and I guess retain the championship or win it again. I don't even really know what was going on throughout most of this match. Not gonna lie, but decent match. Okay way to start the show. Not as good as the one from night one, but still a fine enough, serviceable match on its own. Next up, we had El Desperado and Yoshibu Kanemeru, I'm probably butchering his name, going up against Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I really wasn't interested in this match at all. Like, this match I found very underwhelming, and it didn't really hold my attention for everything, and nothing really happened in this match. Like, you had this one guy get knocked over into somebody else. This blue hair guy, he got knocked in there. I think it was, I don't know which one, the guy with the green pants, I don't even remember their names, or which one's which. He legit grabbed one of the dudes in one of the other dudes, I forget which one it was, in a head-centered location, but the dude was legitimately just pushing his leg and throwing the dude, he had his legs wrapped around his neck, and just throwing him into his ass, he's making him headbutt his ass. It was quite strange to see a man do that to another man. I don't know why that was there. Is that his gimmick? I'm very confused. This is the problem I have when I don't watch New Japan consistently, as you can tell. So that was weird. You saw Three Amigos. yeah, like I said, there was really nothing to this match. Like I said, I just wasn't involved. I just wasn't invested in this match at all, and I just didn't care. I don't know about y'all. I don't know if you guys agree with me that watch New Japan consistently, or you think or you think like, oh, you don't, or that I'm missing something because I don't watch New Japan consistently. I don't know, but this match didn't really do nothing for me. But that's just my opinion. And so this was probably the weakest match on the card, if you ask me. So the next up we had, this is when the card finally started to pick up some pace, and it started to, because by this point I'm like, man, there's not really much going on here on day 2. It's like they did everything in day 1 and they didn't really have much for day 2. But this is when they started to pick it up. So we had Jeff Cobb, who this is the first time I've seen him since he made that appearance on Dynamite many moons ago, back when Chris Jericho and John Moxley were fighting over the AEW Championship. So it was nice to see him again, because I was impressed by seeing what I saw of him on Dynamite. So it's cool to see him back in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom. He went against Shingo Takagi, and this match was awesome. You had these two massive heavyweights just going at each other, man, and it was quite a sight to see watching the train wreck. So like I said before, this match was very hard-hitting. Like there was actually a time where both these guys were and they were legit ramming their heads together like actual bulls. It was quite the sight. But and so you had that. These two were like, of course, there were like tons of hard-hitting strikes. These guys were like throwing each other into like the barricade and everything. Jeff Cobb's leg ended up being the focal point for this match around the end of it. And Jeff Cobb ended up hitting something that I have never seen before, like ever. Like, at least I don't remember anyone doing, at least especially of a man of his size. This man did a standing moonsault power slam. And when I saw it, I was just like, what the fuck? I was just in shock. Like, this man out here is like Keith Lee, but if he was an Islander. He's Keith Lee if he was an Islander during this match. But there was also this kind of like freaky spot right here where like the dude where Jeff Cobb had him up in a was like on the second rope going for like a suplex. And when he picked him up, his what's his name? I forget, I'm slipping on the dude's name right now. Shingo Takagi was probably, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I loved his ring attire. He came out today. He looked really fucking cool, especially with that like half demon mask thing he was wearing. That was like the mask similar to the mask that the MC of Ghost of Tsushima wore. I thought it looked really cool. But anyway, so you had that. So he was like purple. So anyway, he was like his head was like anyway. So he picked him up and he had him in a suplex position. But his head was like pointing directly down to like that area that connects the turnbuckle to the post. And the way he was holding him, it looks like he kind of didn't have complete control over it. It looked like he was about to drop him, but he was able to save it and put him down on that little metal area that, like I said, connects to the ring post to the turnbuckle. So it was good. He managed to avoid disaster on that one, man. But anyway, Shingo Takagi ended up hitting Jeff Cobb with the last of the dragon to retain the never open weight championship. So this was a great match, and this is when, like I said, this is when the show finally started to pick up. So then we had Sanada versus Evil, which I'm assuming, since this was kind of like a continuation of like the storyline of him betraying Los Dejonables de Japón, if I said the Factor's name correctly, because he betrayed on Tetsuya Naito back at Dominion, I think it was, to join the Bullet Club and everything. So I guess this was a continuation of like that feud. So this match was also great in its own right. Like, first off, my God, does Evil have a thing against the Timekeeper? Because this man ended up throwing Sanada into the Timekeeper's area like 3 times. 2 of them, I think he like threw it in there like 3 times, and twice he ended up like throwing the table on top of the Timekeeper, like, legit. So he would Irish wish Sanada into the barricade to where the Timekeeper's area was, and like when he hit there, the table legit flipped over and like landed on the Timekeeper's area, So he just kind of standing there in the back row, so everyone's trying to help him to get it back up. And then once he finally gets back up, he hits Sanada with him again. Like legit, this dude to like the Timekeeper is like Nia Jax is to Lana with throwing her into tables. You know, it was pretty funny to see. Not gonna lie. So anyway, So Sonata's knee ended up becoming the focal point of the match later on because because the commentators were mentioning, or because on commentary they were mentioning a lot of the time how, this is his moment, this is him trying to, he's going to win with his moves, he's going to win with his move set, and this, that, and the third. So like he would hit like his finisher or whatever it was, and then go for like a moonsault off the top rope. The first time, I think one time he missed it. A second time he got it, but his leg, because his knee was injured, he couldn't pin him right instantly. But then he hit him with a third time, and then that is how he finally got the win. But before that, we also had like a really cool table spot with the other guy that was accompanying Evil. I forget his name. So he was like, because that was like right there, he was kind of interfering in the match. He was interfering throughout the whole match, like removing the turnbuckle pad, making himself a nuisance. He also got some cheap shots in there, but eventually Sonata threw Evil into him, which sent him flying through the table. It's always you always enjoy a good table spot, man. That's just me anyway. Trying to think if there's any other major spots that I might have missed. And nope, I think that's about it, guys. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. So then we had Hiromu Tanahashi versus Taiji Ishimori. Now this match was pretty much like the first time this was like one of the first times that the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title has been like near this close to the main event. It was a semi-main event. It was a semi-main event for Day 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, and this match was also fantastic. Man. I love this match. First off, I gotta say, I love Taiji Ishimori's edges. The dude came out dressed up like fucking Shredder from Ninja Turtles. At least I think it was, because he had like the helmet on. It looked like Shredder. It might have been Scorpion for all I know. But either way, it looked fucking cool. So they were going at it. Of course, this was more of a high-flying match, of course, with your like usual spots, and you really get to see how wrestlers in New Japan use that 20 count they have for countouts instead of the 10 count like it is in WWE and AEW. Because Hiromu legit, Taiji was on the outside of the ring. Man legit walked up all the way to like pretty much the beginning of the ramp in the Tokyo Dome, and it's fucking long. That ramp is long. It's like I'm pretty sure it's as long as the ramp was for like WrestleMania 24 or something. It was a long ass motherfucking ramp. So he goes all the way up there, then he just starts sprinting over the plate. I think he was gonna do like a shotgun drop kick or something, but Taiji ends up countering it and getting out of it. You of course had, later on in the match, you also had like this beautiful Canadian Destroyer spot where they were like kind of running the ropes a couple times, and then he countered it into like a Canadian Destroyer, or Taiji countered into a Canadian Destroyer, which was fucking fantastic, and that was really cool. Then like the guy that was with Taiji, I forgot the dude's name. He was going to he removed part of the padding on one of the turnbuckle corners, and then like later on the match, he's like Hiromu legit had him up in a fiber's cut and just drove him and just rammed him right into it, later on in the match. And to my surprise, throughout multiple times in the match, Taiji locked in the yes lock, but to my surprise, at least the English commentators, they actually called it as the yes lock. They didn't call it as the label lock or the no lock or whatever. They legit called it the yes lock, which I was surprised to see, because really only Daniel Bryan called it the yes lock, because then that was all with his gimmick throughout. That would go into with his gimmick, but I was actually shocked they didn't just call it the label lock, and they actually did call it the yes lock, which I found that very surprising. And also, like, around, like, the end of the match, Hiromu is just, like, gassed. The man is just, like, exhausted. And the man would, like, constantly get, like, these spurts where he was just, like, charging toward Taiji, trying to get a hit on him. But he would always be met with, like, an elbow shot from Taiji. This happened a lot. They probably went at this for, like, a good maybe 2 minutes, where he would just run at him, elbow, run at him, elbow. I don't think he even got a hit on him. I think he might have gotten, like, one hit on him throughout the entire thing, but it was really cool to watch. And also, I'm trying to think of, like, I feel like I'm missing a spot that was like that. I feel like I'm missing some sort of spot. But, anyway, that was, where they're constantly going at it. And also, there it is. Taiji also locked in the Gargano escape. He, Hiromu had him up in, like, a suplex position, a vertical suplex position, and the dude, like, countered it into, like, what looked like to be a stunner, and then turned it into the Gargano escape. They didn't call it the Gargano escape, but it was basically the Gargano, at least from what I could see of it. So that was also pretty cool as well. And so, but anyway, Hiromu Tanahashi wins the match with the Time Bomb 2 to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. This match was awesome. No, I would, this match was awesome. Like this, and so far I would say this is probably the best match on the card. At least at that point, of course, until Jay White and Kota Ibushi just, went out and they were just, it was just amazing. But this match was definitely a lot better than I originally expected. Now, let us get to the main event between Kota Ibushi and Jay White. This match was fucking phenomenal, man. This was great. Of course, you had Gato getting interference throughout the match, and you had Jay White be like, "Oh no, don't touch him, man." Then Gato would still just keep touching him and like distracting him or whatever. And so eventually, it wasn't until like I think no. Now I remember. It's like so. It wasn't until like around midway through the match where Kota Ibushi just had enough for him, and the man just gave him Kamagoye right to Gato after he was like trying to give him the brass knuckles. So you had that. These two were, like I said, these two were just going at it. Actually, there was a decent chunk of the match where Jay White was actually, on the offense, and Kota just couldn't really get much offense in. And then later on, man just starts kicking him, just starts kicking Kota Ibushi, and then this was probably the highlight match. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I tweeted this out when I was watching because I ended up this match because I had to split my watch Day 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 2 across yesterday as well as today because just time and everything. So I didn't have to split the rest of the show between 2 days. But so if you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys might notice that as soon as I started seeing Kota with he had just that blank expression, I knew that no Sell Ibushi was going to make his triumphant return. Because you guys mentioned I was disappointed with Day 1 that we didn't see no Sell Ibushi, but I guess my man was just saving it for this match. Because then he starts kicking him, and then he just no sell, and then Kota just no selling everything, just be like and then they just start screaming and they just start hitting him with these stiff ass elbows, man. They look like they were really good. Man, they were hard hitting, man. My man's like, oh, he's just screaming, tell him get up. And then eventually Jay White's like, nah, fam, I'm done. He knows that he cannot beat no Sell Ibushi. He knows when Kota Ibushi goes into Ultra Instincts, he is fucked. So he's just like, just pin me now, fam. Just pin me. He's like, Jay White was laying on the ground, just being like, fam, just pin me. Just pin me. But then Jay was, and then Kota was almost insulted by this because then he just starts slapping the living piss out of him. But while the ref was distracted, Jay White gets in a low blow, and I was just like, brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, these two are just going at it, man. They're both just getting exhausted. Jay White gets switchblades, and then there's counter, which ends up getting a close near fall 2 count, and then it's just counters on top of counters. Countering Jay White trying to get some moves in, near falls, and Kota Ibushi struggling to get in the Kamagoye. He finally managed to get in, but there was a lot throughout pretty much the last minute, maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes of the match, which is Kota just trying to get his finisher in, and then just but not just or doing some big move, but not instantly going for the pin. I think he hit a ripcord knee strike or something, and they went to the top rope and not just pinned him. I was just screaming at my team fan, pin him, because I'm just scared that I'm scared that they might take the title off him and just give it to Jay White. I'm like, oh my god, I hope they don't give the title to Jay White just after he won it. Which I've been heard a lot of great things about Jay White's heel work. I think from what I saw of it from this match and from these 2 nights, he looks great. I've been really I dig the heel character, him leading the Bullet Club and everything. But I don't watch New Japan, so I can't really give you an in-depth how much I can tell you how much I do enjoy his heel work or not. But anyway, I enjoy what I saw of Jay White from here. Anyway, also I've been digging Jay White with the beard look. I've been digging that. Anyway. So he's going it's ripcord knee strike, just for his Phoenix splash, and then eventually my man hits a Kamagoye to the back of the neck, and then my man's just like, fuck it. He pulls down his knee pad on one of his knees, so he has exposed and then he hits Jay White with the Kamagoye exposed knee to get the 1, 2, 3. Great match and that was just a fantastic way to end Wrestle Kingdom off. I would definitely say I like this match more than the championship match between Tetsuya Naito and Kota Ibushi from week 1, and I would probably say out of those nights, this was probably my favorite match, with of course the Okada Will Ospreay match as a close second. That was my overall picks. And then later on, Sonata came in there and basically said, like, I want a championship match. Kota says, I want to fight you some more, so they're going to have their championship match whenever. And then Kota's, like, during the last half of his music is playing. Well, actually, I almost forgot this. Actually, right after Kota, he actually won the belts, Jay White was still, like, grabbing at the championships, trying to take them. And the English commentators were like, nah, fam, those aren't yours. And he's, like, thinking, he's, like, grabbing at, thinking that the match is, I guess the match is still going or something. It was just like, he was like Kota when he went for the second pin after he pinned Tetsuya Naito, thinking that the match was still going. And then after all that said and done, Kota, like, bows to the commentators, goes up the ramp and does his thing, man, while his music is playing and everything, fireworks are going off. And yeah, man. So overall, I thought Wrestle Kingdom this year was great. I probably would say I preferred last year just because day 2 until we got to the last 3 matches really wasn't all that. Like the tag team matches we had to start the show yesterday or whatever for day 2, I just wasn't really feeling. Well, it was a tag match and a Fatal 4-Way match, my bad. But I just wasn't feeling those first 2 matches. The Fatal 4 match was pretty good, but the tag match just didn't interest me at all, man. So overall, I would say that last year's Wrestle Kingdom was probably better. But day 1 was definitely the best day for me. I thought day 1 was definitely the best of Wrestle Kingdom 15. Day 2 was pretty good, and but day 1 I just thought had the better matches. Just that's me personally. Yeah, man. So day 1, you guys know I gave that one a 10 out of 10. Day 2, I'm gonna have to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It would have been lower, but the Will Ospreay, the Jay White Kota Ibushi match, as well as the last 3 matches as well, were all great in their own right. So that's why I give it just that extra point. And of course, the Kota Ibushi match was just fucking fantastic. It was nice to see no silly Ibushi once again. So overall, my final verdict for Wrestle Kingdom 15, I give it a 9.5 out of 10, guys. That would be my final. I was thinking about giving it 10, but day 2 just took a while for it to pick up. And even when it did, the matches were not as good as the matches were for day 1 most of the time. Like the Will Ospreay match and the Kota Ibushi matches from week day 1 were both fantastic. And really with day 2, the only truly amazing match I would say was the main event, as well as also the junior heavyweight title. That's just me anyway. But yeah, man, that's my final verdict on Wrestle Kingdom 15. Tell me down below what you guys saw of Wrestle Kingdom overall. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you prefer last year's Wrestle Kingdom? Tell me that down below, man. And anyway, hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you liked it, if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you like. Links in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.